Welcome to We Took the Quest, a podcast about tabletop role-playing games and our experiences with them. I'm your co-quest master, Charles Woody.
And I'm your co-quest master, Stephen Panella.
And thank you all for joining us for the first ever annual end of season 1 award show, the Questies. Stephen, we didn't talk about what we were going to call the award show. I just threw that at you. How you vibing with the Questies?
I'm vibing with the Questies. That's really good.
Oh, awesome.
Off the dome. That was really good.
Glad to hear that. So today we're going to be talking about all the past games that we played this season. We're very grateful to say that we've had 6 games that we've covered, 3 side quest episodes. So Stephen and I have put together a grading tool that allows us to categorize all these 6 games and how they stacked up against each other in 5 specific categories. So we have things like playability, combat, character creation, art, and replayability. So what we'll do is we will talk about each category. And Stephen, if you're cool with it, I think we'll talk about the top 2 games and maybe have a discussion on how number 2 could have gotten to number 1, or if there were any like sleeper picks that we felt like, or there's any like shock like that we have. Because, dear listeners, Stephen and I both had a separate table where we put in our rankings, and then I devised a formula that will spit out the overall rankings for each category. And then after we talk about each category, we will crown the overall winner of the Questies for We Took the Quest Season 1.
A very rigorous grading system here. Everything is hard facts. Just kidding. It's all our opinion. This will be our personal thoughts and feelings and vibe towards these 6 games that we played over the course of Season 1.
And I'm very grateful to say we enjoyed all 6 games that we played. So if there's a game that doesn't get mentioned throughout this episode, that doesn't mean we didn't like the game. Just didn't quite cut the mustard when it came to crunch time. But we enjoyed every single game that we played this year.
Great stories being told. Great people to play them with. That's TTRPGs, baby.
And I want to correct myself. It hasn't been a year, Stephen. We've been doing this. May will be 2 years of playing games for We Took the Quest together.
Right. Because behind the scenes, we got to play these games, people. And the biggest bad of all is scheduling. Anyone who's listening definitely knows that.
Who has like the plot armor device that defeats the scheduling boss? Does that exist?
I need it. If there's any mods out there, I need that plot armor. That'd be great.
I tried like the unemployment cheat code for a little bit, and it did help. But then when it came time to buy the new games or like have the gasoline to play the games, I fell short a little bit there.
The scales were definitely out of balance on that one.
So if you have the cheat code to defeat the scheduling boss, please let us know. All right, gamers, I think it's time we move to our first category. This is going to be playability. How easy is it to learn and play this game? Stephen, is there any other definition of playability that you have, or you think that's the best way to describe it?
I would determine maybe playability the extent of a session 0, the session you have prior to playing. If it's a short session 0, everyone kind of understands what's going on, solid playability. If it's something easy to pick up and explain, solid playability.
If you have to play 5 games to finally get the mechanics, like to understand and put the pieces together, not the greatest playability. Doesn't mean it's a bad game. It's just a bit more of a bear to understand that game.
Right. It's the onboard for this game.
The onboarding process for those of you in the corporate world. All right, I'm going to open up our final score tab, and I'm only going to look at the playability section. Coming in at number 1, we have Mothership by Tuesday Night Games. In a close second, we have Bloodborg by World Champ Game Co. I am not surprised by these rankings, if I'm being honest. Stephen, how about yourself?
No, this makes sense. Mothership is very, very easy to pick up. So quick to pick up. And honestly, Bloodborg is too.
Just talking about it now, I'm very excited. I know there will be more Mothership in my life. And coming back to why I think it's such a playable game, whether you're doing the manual character creation process or using their companion app, which I love the companion app, it's just so quick to get people to understand, like, hey, you're a little squishy. There's a scary monster. You're in a horror game. here's how the mechanic works. Let's go. And I don't think we've ever played with anyone who was like, hey, I'm struggling to understand what's going on here.
It is very straightforward. You are a main character of a sci-fi horror genre story, so kind of just act like them. I mean, the template is very cut and dry.
I want to say that I'm shocked that Bloodborg came in second, but I'm also not shocked at the same time. I think listening back to our Bloodborg episode, it is very accessible, and maybe that is a tip of the hat to the Morkborg base game setting, but very similar to our play group that did Bloodborg, who hasn't played Mothership. They also like immediately understood like how things are running and how to do things in the game of Bloodborg.
In terms of Bloodborg, there might be a couple more things that are not immediately intuitive, but for the most part, it is also straightforward. But I think Mothership just had way more streamlined stuff.
Yes, and if you do want to add like extra things on Mothership, you have that ability to, but it has such a strong foundation. That's what gets me really excited about playing more, because I backed their new project like Wages of Sin, and I'm very interested to see what that supplement does to staple onto base game Mothership. Steven, is the only thing that's preventing Bloodborg from getting the number one spot, is it just because it doesn't have a companion app?
No, not necessarily. Though the companion app really did help for ease of use. I think with Bloodborg, there's maybe more dice to roll, or that D66 table really messed me up personally. Maybe I just held a grudge on that one. It's very close. It's very close.
I think it's maybe there are just some slight nuances to the game, maybe that had us going back and looking in the manual a little bit more, like you said, like the D66 table, where Mothership, it's just the stats are plain and dry, and I'm really just saying the same thing over and over again. But yeah, maybe it is the small nuances that change the difference between Bloodborg and Mothership. But congrats to Mothership for taking the playability category. Next up, we are moving to combat. Looking at the combat section, we have our first ever tie for a category. Let's see if Steven and I can figure out a tiebreaker between the two. We have a tie between Lancer and Dungeon Crawl Classics, with second place going to Mothership. Mothership having a very strong start of the segment. Steven, what makes DCC Combat good to you? Why is it score so high for you?
I think with the DCC Combat, it not only harkens back to the D&D style play, it came very quickly to me when we started playing this new game with a familiar kind of combat set. So I think it made it simpler to grasp the mechanics of combat.
That's so funny that you say that, because on one hand we have DCC, it's that simple, intuitive, almost a new take on the D&D combat that we've played so much. And then on the other hand, we have Lancer with its thick manuals, it's so many like status effects and cover rules and intricate character abilities. It's so funny that we have those two stacked up to each other and tied currently for the combat section. If I had to choose between both of them, before I get there, I just do want to highlight why Lancer combat is great. We've never really had a fight that happened more than once on Lancer. I think everything was very unique, and that goes back to how distinct and awesome those cool mechs are. And that really excites me. I've been able to be on the GM side and the player side for Lancer, and that combat, while you are doing a little bit of work, it's very fun to get to the end results of finding out like, oh, because of this, I can do this. And like, oh, that does that. Now I have like this response. It's almost like some sort of mech Magic the Gathering combo. It's like, in response, my mech does this. So Lancer kills it in that. But now if I had to choose between the two, judging how I have felt lately, I'm going to go with DCC only because I believe it takes the category when it comes to speed.
I am going to agree, because at the end of the day, we need ComCon to do the combat for Lancer. I said it in the episode. I cannot see myself playing Lancer without CompCon. Whereas DCC, I have my character sheet. Looked at the character sheet. Oh, I got to roll this dice. Boom, boom. It's for ease of use. Though they are tied, I will have to say DCC has it.
Yeah, I think DCC takes it. Congratulations, Dungeon Crawl Classics from Goodman Games. You have won the combat category of the Questies. Well deserved. And our hats off to Lancer. It was a tough decision, but speed plays an important factor in our sessions for me and Steven because we're trying to get as much combat/narrative enjoyment as possible. So being able to get both from DCC is a huge compliment and just a huge joy for that game. I think I said this in the Lancer SideQuest episode. I know you won't do it, but I would love to play Lancer analog so that we could truly, without CompCon, truly get the experience. Maybe it's faster because then we're not constantly like, oh, CompCon crashed. Wait, everybody, let me reboot it.
I don't know, man. I don't know if I can follow you down this path. CompCon is such a boon for Lancer. If they both had companion apps, Lancer takes it. Easy.
Like, hey, man, let's go drive this car, but we're going to take the wheels off and replace them with cinder blocks. Well, heads off to you, Dungeon Crawl Classics. Next, we have character creation. Steven can add on if he feels differently, but for me, what makes a good character creation process is, number one, ease of character creation. Number two, how much narrative can this character creation help me? Like, can it help me create like the backstory or really get me invested in this character overall? And I think it's really those two things. So like, how easy is it to do? How can it help me with immersion? And how easy is it to understand? Is there anything else you look for in character creation, Steven, from a game? As
long as the game, through character creation, gets you excited about playing the character. It's a big thing.
Yes, 100%. That's actually a huge, crucial thing to mention, because if you're looking at like the character creation page and it's just like a wall of text, you don't really have an example of like what this ancestry is or like what this class is, it really can leave a lot of flavor on the floor. So that's a really good point, Steven. So now I will look at our sheet and I'm analyzing it. Looking at the character creation category, coming in first place, Mothership from Tuesday Night Games, with a two-way tie of second place for Lancer and Dungeon Crawl Classics. Steven, why is Mothership so great at character creation? Why'd you grade it so high?
I think, once again, it kind of goes with the ease of use. You're not spending a whole lot of time making the character, but during that short amount of time, there are little things that kind of get you invested in this person. It basically says this is a very squishy kind of character, and they're not meant to be a hero by way of surviving every threat that comes their way. And I think with that, you feel more lax, and there's more like, all right, I'm just going to make a silly little guy that's kind of cool. And it's like, it creates that buy-in.
You're absolutely right. Another thing that I love about the Mothership character creation process, I love the tables. I love in the player's handbook the little like weapons table that you can look at with the drawings of the plasma rifles and stuff like that. I love the trinket table to see what kind of like trinket or like patch that I have. So it really helps you with that buy-in, combining all those things, and also with the speed of the companion app. It's just so good, dude. This is no surprise to me. This makes sense. What does surprise me, though, is our two-way tie between Lancer and DCC. And the more that I think about it, like, I'm not shocked. And Steven, I would like you to go first. Why do you think this tie occurred?
I am unsure, because with Lancer, character creation is, you're not making the character so much as investing more time in making the mech. So I would have understood a two-way tie between DCC and Heart, maybe, because with Heart, at least, there is mechanical baked-in narrative like tied to your level up system. With Lancer, I mean, you're more or less just polishing the mech. So this is very interesting to me.
I hear everything that you're saying, but I think when you are in the hangar putting together those mechs, looking at like the different classes, whether they're like a striker or a defender, and putting your little subsystems together, for me at least, I start to get attached to this mech. While I might not have narrative like backstory to it, there is an excitement for me to get in and pilot this thing. And I think with the great art that we talked about in Lancer, that's why I scored it so high, because I think a really cool part of playing Lancer is just creating the character itself.
Yeah, I can see that. I mean, if this was a two-way tie between Mothership and Lancer, I would still say Mothership because of that companion app. Although CompCon is huge and does a lot of the heavy lifting, that's more for the combat side of things.
If I had to break the tie between, well, before we do that, I want to talk about why I think the DCC character creation is so great. Very similar to Mothership, you are going to get a good amount of tables. The concept, in addition to creating the character, the concept of running them through the funnel to where some people get an analysis paralysis when it comes to creating this character. With the DCC character funnel, you're making these 4 or 5 goobers that have these distinct characteristics. You don't know if they're going to live or die or not. Does a great job of like, all right, after all this chaos, here's the guy that survived. You know, it's Quiddly Do, the halfling, because you can't have like a racing class in DCC. Those tables and the funnel portion of it, I think really speaks to why it's such a great character creation process, because it's just fun at the end of the day.
I mean, the funnel is a part of the character creation process. That's the cool part. So you get to have the little mini adventure that kicks everything off. The concept of a funnel is just huge, that I honestly would start probably taking into other games.
You can't have a funnel without fun.
Yes, exactly. That's what you always said.
Do you think anyone in DCC has ever made that joke?
100%. Big time.
It's hard being an innovator.
I know.
Now, we need to decide on the tiebreaker, and I'm interested. It is possible, since this isn't going to be for overall first place, we might end just in a tie for second place. But if I had to choose between DCC or Lancer, I'm going to give a bump to Lancer, personally.
I say DCC.
Okay, fair enough. I understand the narrative argument is very strong. This entire argument is just another reason why we have to go back again.
Right.
Congratulations to Mothership for taking home the character creation category. All right, coming into art, our final score coming in at first place is Hearts by Rowan, Rook, and Deckard, with a strong second place finish for Lancer right behind it. Steven, what do you love about the Heart artwork, man?
I mean, the Heart artwork speaks for itself. It fully captures the vibe that Heart is setting up between your eldritch horrors, your creepy, grimdark vibes. It's all there. And I mean, almost every page has some soulless eye looking thing stare back at you. I mean, it's good. It's just quality art.
I can argue, or would like to argue, that I think Heart has the most distinctive dark fantasy art out of the current space of known fantasy TTRPGs for me. Like, when I see that style, I'm immediately knowing that it's Heart. I'm transported to the world of Heart. It is in a class of its own.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think third place being DCC, it's almost there because DCC had so much art in it. But the consistency with Heart and how every page lent to the overall vibe it was trying to portray, it was an easy first place.
And just to make sure I'm reading this table right, so third place for art is actually going to go to Mothership. It's a 2-way tie between Mothership and Cybermetal.
Yes. Oh yeah. I mean, they're all pretty close, honestly. Because we had two 2-way ties.
This was the absolutely hardest category for me. In every single episode that wasn't a side quest, we were like, hey, the art for this game is fantastic. Is always almost like our favorite things to talk about in the episodes.
Yeah.
So that one was super tough for me.
I had to put my critical hat on.
It's a big hat. It weighs your neck down quite a bit.
Huge hat.
What do we got to do to get our sweet Lancer a first place vote? It's always a bridesmaid coming in at second place. Once again, if they just ripped the entire text out of this game and it was only the artwork of these mechs, I would buy that book just to look at those mechs.
Or alternatively, love a good lore, but if they take out all the lore, maybe throw in like world building art, it could have probably helped it. The mech art pulls a lot of the weight there, but that's kind of all that is.
Yeah, there is some like dystopian, like you can see the people and like the non-human peoples of the Lancer world. Yeah, like you said, I would have loved ripping out some of those text blocks from like the encyclopedia section that Lancer has, and if we could just put some like faces to names, or mechs to names in there, or planets to names, I think that would have really helped us immerse ourselves more in the Lancer category. Once again, the mech art alone, with our combined score, speaks for itself. It's just so friggin' cool. All right. Last, but certainly not least, we have the replayability category. Replayability to me is how easily can I hop back on the bike and play this? How much of a hunger do I have to go through that experience again? Do I want to play with a new group of people? Do I want to play with the same group again? That's what I think of when I think of replayability. All right, coming in at first place for replayability, we have Mothership coming out strong, very high marks for us. And then second place, we have Dungeon Crawl Classics. Steven, why'd you score Mothership so high on replayability?
I scored Mothership so high because the genre of like sci-fi horror is super easy to get into. And the fact that there are so many one-shots that you could do, or one-shot potentials that you could do, Mothership is just so easy to pick up. It's the replayability is there. The hype is very easy to get behind, and Mothership really has that, like, oh, I have this new idea that I could run. And it makes you feel with the easy system, it's easy to pick back up.
We've played a lot of dang Mothership, and we've done a lot of, it's so silly to say this, just like Mothership sessions just for us. You know what I mean? Just like maybe playing it outside of the context of the podcast, which I think is great. Anytime I see like a new post from Tuesday Night Games, I'm hoping it's like for another Mothership supplement, and I get really excited. And if you go back and listen to our Mothership episode, the amount of supplement supports and community support that this game has, there's so many ways that you can experience it, and so many innovative ways that people are looking at Mothership. I just want to jump back in all the time. That makes sense to me why it scored so high. And then second, this I'm a little shocked by, but maybe it's because we have such love of fantasy in our hearts. We got in playing fantasy. Dungeon Crawl Classics at number 2. Ton of module support, like first party module support for Dungeon Crawl Classics. I definitely had a hunger. If you listen to the DCC, like I want to go back and play again for sure. I think there's so much more we can dive into, but this has done a good job of finding that perfect balance between the darkness of heart and the Marvel superhero-ness of Dungeons and Dragons. At least in my opinion, DCC's right there in the middle, and I want to experience that type of fantasy again.
I think the major differences here between Mothership and DCC, with DCC, you go through the funnel, you're left with the character, you play the character, have their journey, and then you're like, well, now I want to see who else I can get to survive through the funnel. I want to see what other quirky character I can make that can survive the funnel and inhabit. And Mothership has that really solid one-shot potential where you can just do a bunch of different kind of stories, quick stories. that wrap up and want you to just get back out there in space.
Because I think DCC might be the game we played the least. I think we only played like 6 or 7 sessions. Maybe that's why I want to go back, but I love the way that book looks, and you can tell based off of how strongly it was scored in the other categories. There's a good experience here. So DCC, I'm sure we'll be back at some point in your incredible, fantastical lands.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. All right. We've gone through all 5 categories. It is time to look at our overall winner of season 1 of We Took the Quest, taking home the first ever Questie. I think we're going to do first place, second place, and third place for this. A little old school. Coming in at first place, I think to no surprise to either of us now, is Mothership by a mile compared to the other games.
I mean, Mothership, just everything about it, man. Yeah, I guess the only thing lacking was the art, and that's just because they left all the room for mechanics and whatnot. And even then, the art that is there is solid. But it's just a great game to play, fun times to be had, and tons of support for it.
Yeah, and I'm looking at the scores. I mean, Mothership came in. It's in a 2-way tie for third place for art. So even the art's really good. I love the way my friggin' supplement books smell. For Mothership, I bought the deluxe set that comes with the Shipbreaker's Toolkit, the Warden's Manual, the Player's Manual, the 2 adventures. I mean, hats off. It's only like 40, 60 pages. It's not intimidating at all when you look at it. We've talked about how great it is in the other categories. Congratulations, Mothership. Well earned. Coming in at second place, we have DCC, Dungeon Crawl Classics. You surprised by that, Steven?
No, I don't think I am, honestly. Once again, we're kind of in our fantasy kick, and DCC reigns in the high fantasy of D&D and puts it in a place where it's palatable for everyone at the table, and the funnel blew my mind personally.
I don't think I have anything else I can add to DCC besides put me back in, coach. I'm ready. All right. Third place. This one came in just under and really pushed out. It's a name we haven't talked about a lot. Bloodborg by World Champ Game Co. Third place. Dang. How did this happen, Steven?
I don't know. I mean, Bloodborg was an incredible time. There are tons of stuff you could do with it, but it's also easy to play. That was the biggest thing that hindered Lancer from coming into third. The replayability with Bloodborg, we kind of rated a little high, but vibes are there, art is there, easy game to get into, and it's punk vampires. I mean, you can't get any better than that.
And we played that with the Guilt group. And I will have to say, I think for that campaign, that was one of the ones where we were I think our most immersed into the world. And then also there was just a lot of character buy-in. We were Crucial Fix. That band was real. There was history there. There was growth from the characters. And the way that happened was this game gave us the ability to have that feeling. We got that loose rule set and we just went off and ran with it.
Innovative plays and role playing that it's not even discussed in the rules to do. It's just the rules help supplement that role play and elevate it. And I think Bloodborg kind of nailed it on that front, because in Lancer, there's not a whole lot of role playing opportunities. And if there is, it's not incredibly heavy. Bloodborg is all flavor, and it also ties in very nicely with the mechanics.
And also, like we mentioned in the Bloodborg episode, there's still a good amount of stuff that we left on the cutting room floor. We could have really delved in more to the rival that's supposed to follow you around. There's that. in addition to other things, to score so high and to know there's still so much more to do in it, that just shows you it's a really great opportunity to play that dang game. But yeah, congrats to Bloodborg by World Champ Game Co. for getting third place, and congrats to all three of our top winners. And also, congrats to us, Steven, for being able to play 6 really dang good tabletop role-playing games that are not called Dungeons and Dragons in today's modern TTRPG world.
We are the real winners here.
I do want to take this moment now that we've finished the Questies. Thank you all for attending the Questies. I would love to take a moment and just to reflect on the season. I came to you with this idea, Stephen, 2 years ago in the spring, and you were really receptive to the idea, which was awesome. Have you learned anything about yourself reviewing tabletop role-playing games? And would you say playing the most tabletop role-playing games of your life? Like, you feel like you've had the most sessions like the past 2 years compared to any other time?
I would say so. At first I was worried that playing too many games would make playing each game lower quality. But after we kind of figured out the scheduling and how many of them at a time we can juggle, it all smoothed out. And I'm picking up different things from different systems to make home games that we play stronger and better.
Any one moment that has like really stuck with you over the course of these 6 campaigns?
Probably with Mothership, when Michael had like 3 characters die in the session and he just kept churning them out but kept dying. So it's just like, I'm like, wow, the fragility of life right here in a TTRPG game. It's nuts.
I would say for me, I have 2, and they both come back to Heart, the City Beneath. The first one was getting able to play with my friend and now your friend, Junie, who lives in South Florida, and to have them join our Heart campaign and play a few sessions with us. And as we were wrapping up the campaign, Junie, I hope you're cool with me saying this, Junie like teared up a little bit as that story came to an end, and that was our first time like playing with Junie. And in addition to having that moment with Junie, was also playing games with our friends Skylar, Andrew, and Cody a lot more. You and I have kind of played with the same people over the past decade, and doing this podcast had allowed us to go look for more schedules that we can work with and be able to play with Skylar, Andrew, Cody. I mean, even the Guild crew as well. That has been really awesome just to see how differently people process and react to these games and contribute to the stories. That's been like my favorite thing through this entire journey.
If you read the last blog post, I discussed my TTRPG journey, and for 10 to 15 years, it was just my family that I was playing with. Over the last 2 years, I play with the most people in TTRPG table than I have my entire life. And that's really special, really cool. It was truly an honor to get different play styles than what I'm used to. And it was just awesome.
It's all about the journey, man. It's been a dang good one. And I think I can speak for me and Steven. We're super excited for season 2. We're already working on season 2 right now, which is great. So make sure to continue to follow the Instagram. We're not going to be going anywhere in the meantime between season 1 and season 2. We got some great stuff being cooked up. Is there anything else you want to say, Steven, before we get out of here?
I think when the quest is given, you just got to take it.
That'll do it for us here at We Took the Quest. I've been your co-quest master, Charles Woody.
And I have been your co-quest master, Stephen Panella.
And we'll see you on the next quest. Deuces!
Bye!